Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just jump right in, shall we? The 20s. It's a decade that gets just a massive amount of hype. I mean, it's supposed to be the time of your life, right? But let's be totally real here. For most of us, it usually just feels like pure, unadulterated chaos. Today, we're unpacking a really fantastic source text called Building Your 20s Well. We're going to completely shift how you view this decade. We'll set up some deeply grounded mental models and figure out how to turn that daily overwhelming confusion into a rock-solid foundation. So why do your 20s feel so insanely confusing? Well, first off, if you are feeling anxious about this, I need you to know that your feelings are completely valid. Our source material describes this decade beautifully. It's like being trapped in an incredibly noisy room where absolutely everyone is talking at the exact same time. You've got family expectations pulling you one way, friends, social media, money pressures, career doubts pulling you another. It is literally deafening. Because of all that noise, it's incredibly easy to feel like you're constantly behind. You end up treating these years as one long, high-stress trial period where you feel like you have to figure every single thing out immediately. But listen, that confusion doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you need a completely new framework. Okay, so to cut through all that noise, we desperately need a new framework. And that starts with one incredibly powerful truth. What repeats becomes normal. Culturally, we're really conditioned to think that our lives are defined by these huge, dramatic moments, like landing one big promotion or going through a massive breakup. But the truth is actually much quieter than that. Your life is defined by the quiet, cumulative power of your repeated patterns. How you sleep, how you respond to daily stress, how you spend your money. These quiet, everyday actions, they become your default. The most repeated decision shapes you far, far more than the most dramatic one. Honestly, understanding that is a massive mindset shift because it's so incredibly easy to fall into the trap of treating your 20s like a high-stakes pop quiz, a pass-fail test, where every single choice feels completely agonizing because you think you might fail life. But what if, instead, your 20s are actually about pouring a foundation? You might not be able to see the beautiful shape of the final building just yet, but the small, deliberate, repeated choices you're making right now absolutely determine how stable everything feels later on. So how do we actually go about pouring this foundation? Well, believe it or not, your life is governed by a hidden mechanical system made up of a few core forces. First, repetition creates your defaults. Second, your environment overpowers your fragile intentions. Third, constraints define the actual menu of choices you have. And finally, time compounds your results. It's not just a blur of random problems, it's a structured system. Let's actually break down that heavyweight battle happening every single day between your willpower and your surroundings. We all absolutely love to believe that if we just have enough willpower, we're going to succeed. We just need to try harder, right? But human intentions are incredibly fragile. Our source points out something crucial. Your environment, your physical room, your phone, the people you hang out with, is vastly stronger than your willpower. Willpower is like trying to furiously swim against a massive, strong ocean current. Environment, on the other hand, is swimming with that current. If you're constantly fighting your daily setup, you aren't lazy. Your environment is simply making the wrong path way too easy. And that leads us to an absolute game changer of a concept. Identity is carved by movement, almost exactly like a path in a field. So many people just sit around waiting until they feel like the person they want to be. They want to feel organized before they actually organize their desk. But actually, scratch that. Action comes first. Just like walking across a grassy field over and over and over again eventually creates a permanent dirt track, your repeated actions literally carve out your new identity. Do not wait for the feeling. Just start moving. Now, have you ever felt this deep, heavy guilt because you're just not achieving what someone else is constantly flaunting online? I want you to let that go right now, because constraints shape your options. Imagine trying to arrange a massive, sprawling sofa in a tiny little room. The room itself sets the absolute limits on what you can do. We all operate under totally different constraints. Health, free time, energy, bank accounts. You have to stop asking, why aren't I living like them? And start asking, what is actually realistically possible for my specific starting conditions? When you actually take action within your own constraints, you kick off a continuous loop. Your actions produce a specific result. That result directly shapes your internal belief, and then that belief drives your very next move. The source material calls feedback one of your absolute best teachers. Think of it like a dashboard light in your car. When it pops on, you don't panic and assume you're a terribly flawed driver. You just pop the hood and check the engine. It's just data. A positive loop makes future effort feel totally possible, while ignoring that negative feedback makes trying feel completely pointless. You really don't have to get everything right. You just need to read your dashboard. Now, listen to this part, because there is a huge, and I mean massive, difference between motion and momentum. You can be incredibly busy every single day, answering hundreds of messages, putting out tiny daily fires, starting a dozen new projects, but that is just motion. It's just activity and noise. Momentum, though, momentum is direction plus accumulation. You're only truly building momentum when your daily activity leaves something genuinely useful behind. That could be a real skill, a deep relationship, or a healthy savings cushion. Busy is just noise. Building is structure. And the really crucial point here is how this all plays out over a long timeline. In your early 20s, the real-world results of positive actions and negative habits actually look almost identical. But as we move into your 30s, wow, there is a massive divergence. This is compounding in action. It's literally a snowball rolling down a steep hill. Small inputs, like saving a tiny bit of cash every week or losing just a little bit of sleep every night, they seem totally invisible at first, but time amplifies those tiny inputs into massive, unignorable realities. Here is a deeply profound truth from our source. You are not only choosing outcomes, you are actually choosing future friction. Let that sink in. When you take the time to build good routines now, you're actively making hard things so much easier for your future self. Conversely, avoiding difficult tasks today practically guarantees that life will be much, much harder later on. You are deciding right now, today, exactly what the shape of your effort is going to look like for the entire next decade. So to make this compounding actually work in your favor, you really just need three core things: a repeatable baseline, a meaningful target, and the sheer patience to just let time do its work. The source gives this fantastic example of a young professional in Karachi who takes a totally unglamorous job. Honestly, it didn't feel like he was arriving anywhere special. There were no red carpets, just a ton of emails. But through consistent daily practice in writing and handling clients, combined with pure patience, that completely ordinary job compounded into massive career options down the road. The magic wasn't the fancy job title. The magic was the compounding. All right, as we wrap this up, the ultimate psychological upgrade you can make right this second is shifting from being a reactor to becoming a builder. A reactor is someone who just tries to survive the noise, they panic at any uncomfortable feedback, and they constantly demand instant proof of success. But a builder truly understands the system. They trust the quiet, steady process of compounding, and they actively take charge to shape their own conditions.
So, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to carry with you today. Are you reacting to life, or are you shaping its conditions? Your 20s absolutely do not have to be this confusing, stressful blur that you just endure. By deeply understanding the quiet, mechanical forces of repetition, environment, and compounding, you have the total agency to steer your own life. You are the architect of your own foundation. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer. What are you going to build today? See you next time.